Hello and welcome. This is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness, and welcome to today's show. On this show, I talk about how to expand your world of thought, explore the world of positive thinking, law of attraction, and consciousness from many points of view. And what I intend to do is share with you information that enlightens you and empowers you in your life. I'm here to encourage you to think in the positive and show you that miracles can happen. I truly believe you have been given the power of the word and thought to create the life that you desire. You know, Napoleon Hill I have been following for quite some time and studying his information and the things that he has shared with us through his writings. And there's a couple of quotations that I really like, and it's in within the first 5 chapters of his book, Think and Grow Rich, that was written or published in 1937. Yeah, the Think and Grow Rich book was a culmination or a synthesis of his course on the laws of success. But what he says in there is that success requires no apologies, failure permits no alibis. So when you're successful, everybody wants to know, how'd you do that? Where'd you come from? What do you give me your secrets and all of that kind of stuff. But failure, it's in the open a lot of times, and sometimes it's in private. But it doesn't allow you to have alibis. And what I mean by alibis is that you have to take ownership for whatever happens. You can't say it was because it rained 15 million times. People may have been in your situation and it rained and they still got things done. You can't say that it was the fault of, the economy and so on. I mean, you can do that as an excuse, but there are millionaires made in bad economies as well as good. I've seen that throughout this pandemic, especially in the restaurant business. There was one restaurateur who didn't do takeout, who didn't have call in or delivery services. And when restaurants got shut down, he was either facing bankruptcy and being out of business or changing his business model. And with that, they found what they needed. They found the takeout containers. They found a service for delivery. They found a way for people to come up and pick up their orders. They had somebody manning the phone and they updated their website and they have flourished. They may not have made as much money as they would have had the pandemic not happened. But when asked, okay, now that restaurants are opening up, are you going to do away with your pickup service? And he said no. He says they're going to keep it because it's another stream of revenue that they had never looked at before. Also, Napoleon Hill said every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success. And that's what this restaurateur showed, that there was a seed for success. And so what do you want? What is your desires? And so today, I'm back with my buddy Florence Scovel Shinn. And, she was widely known for many years as an artist and illustrator, a metaphysician, and a lecturer. She helped thousands of people through her great work of healing and assisting in solving their problems. That's the extent of her CV here on the book. So this week. Now, The first time I really talked to you about her was when I did the piece on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And I recommend that you listen to that one if you haven't. And I will put a link to it at the end of this video. So today I'm going to talk about the secret door to success. Yeah, that's why I gave you those two quotations from Napoleon Hill. You see, as I study and continue to study, and I study many different people and authors and lecturers, they all intersect. They may talk about it in a different way. They may give you different methods. They may give you different ways of setting your intention, or with Napoleon Hill, steps for creating the life you want and getting what you want and how to set goals. But they all have similar things. The key with Florence is that she relied on Bible text. And she will point out to different things in the Bible. And I have said in the past that the Bible is a very good place to find information about how to live in life, ignoring all the negative pieces and the drama and the, and the threats and all that kind of stuff that you can see in there. Because if you are living with a pure heart, and you're living with the knowledge that God is your supply, you have no issues. And I say God, and I also said infinite wisdom, infinite intelligence. It's whatever, or, whatever name you want, Big Daddy. It is your choice. But this is the secret door to success. And she starts it out with a quote from Joshua, the 6th chapter, the 20th verse. And it says, "So the people shouted when the priests blew with the trumpets, and it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city." This was when they were walking around and they shouted and the walls came down. I have my own thoughts about how scientifically that could work, especially when thousands of people are walking around and the ground is vibrating. And that just brought to mind that if you've ever seen a parade and you see the bands or the drill teams, they come to a bridge, they stop marching. They all start walking. No marching, no instep, no anything, no cadence. Because marching across the bridge with that cadence brought down a bridge and can bring down a bridge because of that steady cadence, and then the vibration is amplified in the bridge. Just a little aside thing. Let me continue. A successful man is always asked, "What is the secret to your success?" People never ask a man who is a failure, "What is the secret of your failure?" It is quite easy to see, and they are not interested. People all want to know how to open the secret door of success, and I know you do too. With the Think and Grow Rich book, that's why it sold so well, because people want to know how to be successful and what do they need to do. Let me continue. For each man there is success, but it seems to be behind a door or wall. In the Bible reading, we have heard the wonderful story of the falling of the walls of Jericho. Of course, all biblical stories have a metaphysical interpretation. We will now talk about your wall of Jericho, the wall separating you from success. Nearly everyone has built a wall around his own Jericho. This city you are not able to enter contains great treasures. Your divinely designed success, your heart's desire. I never had ever heard of not being successful or not getting what you want or getting part of your goals and going as being behind a wall. Can you visualize that? Just, close your eyes if you're not driving, but just close your eyes and just visualize a wall. And on the other side of the wall is your every desire and every dream. Isn't that interesting? I'm visualizing that right now. All your desires and every dream that you could ever want. And I'm thinking about travel, having a housekeeper to clean my house, getting rid of a lot of the stuff that I don't need anymore, figuring it out. That, for me, that's going to be successful. Yeah. Anyway, let me get back to the story. What kind of wall have you built around your Jericho? Often it is a wall of resentment, resenting someone, or resenting a situation, and it shuts off your good. If you are a failure and resent the success of someone else, you are keeping away your own success. I have given the following statement to neutralize envy and resentment. So you ready for her statement? What God has done for others, He now does for me and more. So this is one of her affirmations that you can say. Let me repeat that for you. What God has done for others, He now does for me and more. A woman was filled with envy because a friend had received a gift. She made this statement, and an exact duplicate of the gift was given her, plus another present. So what was that statement again? Let me repeat it. What God has done for others, He now does for me and more. It was when the children of Israel shouted that the walls of Jericho fell down. When you make an affirmation of truth, your wall of Jericho totters. So what is your truth? What is it that you really desire within your heart? When you admit it and say to yourself that this is what you desire, you can break down the walls. You have to get rid of the envy and the jealousy and the resentment and take responsibility for what you desire. So she says, I gave the following statement to a woman. The walls of lack and delay now crumble away, and I enter my promised land under grace. The walls of lack and delay now crumble away, and I enter my promised land under grace. She had a vivid picture of stepping over a fallen wall and received a demonstration of her good almost immediately. Can you see that in yourself? Can you see your wall falling down and being able to step over to gain your success or your greatest desire? It is the word of realization that brings about the change in your affairs, for words and thoughts are a form of radioactivity. That's your vibration, y'all. Take an interest in your work. Enjoying what you are doing opens the secret door to success. A number of years ago, I went to California to speak at the different centers by way of the Panama Canal, and on the boat I met a man named Jim Tully. For years he had been a tramp. He called himself the king of the hobos. He was ambitious and picked up an education. He had a vivid imagination and commenced writing stories about his experiences. He dramatized tramp life. He enjoyed what he was doing and became a very successful author. I remember one book called Outside Looking In. It was made into a motion picture. He is now famous and prosperous and lives in Hollywood. That opened the secret door to or what opened the secret door to success for Jim Tully, dramatizing his life, being interested in what he was doing. He made the most of being a tramp. On the boat, we all sat at the captain's tables, which gave us a chance to talk. Mrs. Grace Stone was also a passenger on the boat. She had written The Bitter Tea of General Yin and was going to Hollywood to have it made into a motion picture. She had lived in China and was inspired to write the book. That is the secret of success, to make what you are doing interesting to other people. Be interested yourself, and others will find you interesting. Hmm. Well, I love what I do as I'm thinking about this. And hopefully, I'm making this story interesting to you. A good disposition, a smile, often opens the secret door, the Chinese say. A man without a smiling face must not open a shop. I like that, right? I did flea markets. I had a couple of flea market stands. I had a craft business and I did craft shows. And by the end of the day, you're tired of smiling and demonstrating. For me, I had to demonstrate my wares. And by the end of the day, I've said that same sentence like 500 times, but I had to say it each time like it was the first. I couldn't say, okay, here's how it works. You just put this on your hand, it melts automatically, blah, 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 blah. You know, no energy. And I caught myself a couple of times getting there early on, and I had to remember every time you say this, this is the first time these people are hearing it. A man without a smiling face must not open a shop. The success of a smile was brought out in a French moving picture in which Chevalier took the lead. The picture was called With a Smile. One of the characters had become poor, dreary, and almost derelict. He said to Chevalier, "What good has my honesty done me?" Chevalier replied, "Even honesty won't help you without a smile." So the man changes on the spot, cheers up, and becomes very successful. All right, so that's within the movie time frame. Remember that. Living in the past. Okay, listen to this next thing I'm saying to you. Living in the past, complaining of your misfortune, builds a thick wall around your Jericho. Talking too much about your affairs, scattering your forces brings you up against the high wall. I knew a man of brains and ability who was a complete failure. He lived with his mother and aunt, and I found out that every night when he went home to dinner, he told them all that had taken place during the day at the office. He discussed his hopes, his fears, and his failures. Okay, now here's a piece of advice I give people too. I have given it for a long time. My clients, this is one of those things that is important. All right, so let me tell you what she said. I said to him, "You scatter your forces by talking about your affairs. Don't discuss your business with your family. Silence is golden." You see, when you talk about your affairs, and I know his mother and aunt were probably, listening and all ears and all that, but they may have said something. Why you put up with that? I wouldn't do that. Well, you're just wasting your time. You should do so and so and so and so. So without realizing it, based on their fears and their thoughts, they were sabotaging him and his thought and feeding his subconscious mind. So as she said, silence is golden. Even the Bible says, keep it to yourself, you know. So he took my lead. During dinner, he refused to talk about business. His mother and aunt were in despair. They loved to hear all about everything, but his silence proved golden. Not long after, he was given a position at $100 a week. Now, remember, this is an old book. This was, let me see if I don't have the date here of, let me see if it's in the front of when it was written. Well, The Game of Life was in 1925. Your Word is Your Wand is 1928. This was 1945, and that was a good salary back in 1945. So, $100 a week. All right. So he was given a position at $100 a week, and in a few years, he had a salary of $300 a week. And that's a good salary. He was making good money back then. Success is not a secret. It is a system. Okay, so if you want to write that down, hopefully you've got notepad, note out when I'm talking. So that's one. Success is not a secret. It is a system. Many people are up against the wall of discouragement. Courage and endurance are part of the system. Courage and endurance are part of the system. We read this in lives of all successful men and women. I had an amusing experience which brought this to my notice. I went to a moving picture theater to meet a friend. While waiting, I stood near a young boy selling programs. He called to people passing, "Buy a complete program of the picture, containing photographs of the actors and a sketch of their lives." Most people passed by without buying. To my great surprise, he suddenly turned to me and said, "Say, this ain't no racket for a guy with ambition." Then he gave a discourse on success. He said, now this is interesting, most people give up just before something big is coming to them. A successful man never gives up. That was interesting for him to say to her. Of course, I was interested and said, "I'll bring you a book the next day, the next time I come. It is called The Game of Life and How to Play It. You will agree with a lot of the ideas." A week or two later, I went back with the book. The girl at the ticket office said to him, "Let me read it, Eddie, when you are selling programs." The man who took tickets leaned over to see what it was about. The game of life always gets people interested. I returned to the theater about 3 weeks. Eddie was gone. He had expanded into a new job that he liked. His wall of Jericho had crumbled. He had refused to be discouraged. Only twice is the word success mentioned in the Bible, both times in the book of Joshua. Only be strong and very courageous to observe, to do according to all the law which Moses, my servant, commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right or the left, that thou mayest have good success whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart from my mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do all that is written therein. For then shalt thou make thy way prosperous, and thou shalt have good success. Turn not to the right nor the left. And in italics she says, the road to success is a straight and narrow path. It is a road of loving absorption, of undivided attention. And I made a little note there on the word persistence, because Napoleon Hill talks about being persistent. You must be persistent. You attract the things you give a great deal of thought to. So here we go again. That which you think about comes about. So if you give a great deal of thought to lack, you attract lack. If you give a great deal of thought to injustice, you attract more injustice. Joshua said, "And it shall come to pass that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when ye hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend up, every man straight before him." The inner meaning of this story is the power of the word, your word, which dissolves obstacles and removes barriers. Power of your word. When the people shouted, the walls fell down. We find in folklore and fairy stories which come down from legends founded on truth the same idea. A word opens a door or cleaves a rock. We have it again in the Arabian Nights story, Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. I saw it made into a moving picture. Ali Baba had a secret hiding place hidden somewhere behind rocks and mountains. The entrance may only be gained by speaking a secret word. Open sesame. Ali Baba faces the mountains and cries, "Open sesame!" and the rocks slide apart. It is very inspiring, for it gives you the realization of how your own rocks and barriers will part at the right word. So let us now make the statement, the walls of lack and delay now crumble away, and I enter my promised land under grace. So let me repeat that for you. So let us now take this statement, the walls of lack and delay now crumble away, and I enter my promised land under grace. So in this story, in this telling of success, the secret door to success, you learn that you have persistence. The words you speak them to yourself, and you speak positive words and words of encouragement. And do not discuss your business with friends or family. You only do business with the people you're doing business with. And as she showed, he stopped talking about work, and he was doing his work, and his thoughts were in a certain place, and he changed what he fed his subconscious mind, and he increased his salary. Do not complain. Analyze what the flow or what your plan is, and that's mostly from Napoleon Hill. Because failure is not a choice in success. The walls of lack and delay now crumble away, and I enter my promised land under grace. I pray that you allow your walls of Jericho to fall down around you. Break down those walls of resentment, envy, jealousy, lack of thinking that you deserve it, because you do deserve it. This does not say that you do not have to do the work. I have to do the work. You have to do the work. We all have to do the work. It doesn't just show up. But the forces of the law are there to help you manifest and bring into your life that which you want. But it's all a matter of vibration. As the walls of Jericho fell down with the shouting and the ram's horn and all that, and you can do the same. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and I hope this was a very good lesson for you today. Please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell. And I will see you. Oh, yeah. And, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter. It's there in the closing credits. I don't have that scripted. So, anyway, I'll see you in the next video.